Welcome everybody to July 16th, 2024 Town Council meeting. If I could have, no, that's it. Yeah, if I could have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, roll call, Monica.
Good evening. Councilman Dickerson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Larson.
Here.
Mayor Green.
Here.
Councilman Castillo.
Here.
And Councilman Burchard.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Larson, you have a quorum of the council with Mayor Green joining us by phone.
Great, thank you. Has everybody had a chance to look over the consent agenda?
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
Any questions, thoughts, concerns? If none, can I get a motion for approval of consent agenda?
Make a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Great. All right, moving on to tabled items. So we have public hearing for, is it Marquina?
You know how to pronounce it? Marquina.
Marquina LLC new liquor license application. Monica, can you?
I'll give you the...
Oh, I thought you were reading it.
No, I'm sorry.
Gotcha, no worries. So this is a public hearing for the application for the issuance of a restaurant liquor license on May 8th, 2024. Marquina LLC, DBA Tienda La Mexicana, operating within the incorporated boundaries of the town of Alpine, submitted an application for the restaurant liquor license for the term June 18th, 2024 through December 31st, 2024. The town of Alpine published notice on the consecutive advertising dates of June 5th and June 12th, 2024. Due to a family emergency, the June 18th public hearing was tabled. The continuance of the hearing was published on July 10th, 2024. If approved, this liquor license will begin 7/17/2024 and will expire on December 31st, 2024. Wyoming Liquor Division has certified this license application as complete. Public comments and or questions. Can I first get on the table? So seeking a motion to remove public hearing, Marquina LLC, DBA Tienda La Mexicana, new liquor license application for the table.
I move to make a motion to remove tabled item public hearing, Marquina LLC, DBA Tienda La Mexicana, new liquor license application.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Everything's all in order through P&Z, because I remember there was that.
Yeah, it is. Oh, and there he is.
There he is.
There he
awesome.
is. I was just going to say he was supposed to be joining us, so that worked out perfectly. Great timing. So, yeah, everything's in order.
Okay. So everything is all in order?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
that's all been taken care of. I was informed by Christine that it's all been handled.
Do we need to vote
Okay.
on that?
No, we just voted.
So taking it off the table, yep. So with that, then we putting it back on the table. Everything's all in order. Do I have all in favor of putting it on, removing it from the table, putting it back on the table? That's not make sense. All in favor of removing it from the table?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. No nays. Okay, so back to the public hearing for, and it is, help us out, Marquina? Marquina, yes. Marquina, thank you. Marquina LLC, DBA Tienda La Mexicana, new liquor license application. Seeking a motion to approve the new liquor license application for Marquina LLC, DBA Tienda La Mexicana.
Second.
No.
A motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You said so many words.
I know.
Lost in them.
Yes, I moved to
As
motion.
moved, so moved.
So moved from the mayor. Second?
Second.
Second. Okay. Now for discussion on the liquor license. So everything is in order? Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So the concerns about the building concerns were addressed. I was provided documentation from Planning and Zoning Administrator Christine Wagner to the fact that it was all addressed and now in compliance. And the Wyoming Liquor Control Division has reviewed all of their information, and it is in order.
Great. Did anybody have any thoughts, questions, concerns?
I'd like, and so one of the things that we'd like to see, and you probably don't know that, and that it's part of what the mayor would like to see for the administration, we'd like to see that people come to the liquor license renewal and application. Just tell us a little bit about who they are. So we have,
Great.
we have Solomon here, and I'm sure he'd be happy to speak to you, but you're gonna. If you don't mind.
Thank you. Please, Solomon.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
man.
Yes, sir.
Just tell us a bit about the business.
A little bit about ourselves.
I've
All right,
been over
so
there.
We've been open in Jackson Hole for about 13 years now. And so that's what led to us coming over to Alpine and opening up this new venture. It's been amazing. You guys have welcomed us with open arms and have been more than lenient towards us, because when we came in here, we definitely did remodeling without permits and we ruffled some feathers, and we do apologize for that. But yeah, I mean, we're here for the long run. We want to be part of the community for the foreseeable future. The idea of opening up the path of selling beer and stuff like that really comes from our clients, both local and the traffic that we get from tourism and such. So we want to still keep that family environment. So we're not going to be any bars. We're not going to do any crazy things. We don't stay late. We close at 8:30, so our girls get out of work at 10:30, 11. And yeah, pretty much provide a little bit more of income, because as you guys know, here the summers are very short, and so we want to take advantage of any way we can. And we've slowly turned into a restaurant. We weren't a restaurant at the beginning. We are what's called an money service business, MSB. So your employees or whoever you guys hire come to us and they cash their checks whenever the banks are closed, or just 100 different reasons. So that's our number one. Our number two, we send money back home. And, you know, usually it's Mexico, but we have Colombia, Guatemala, El Salvador, Venezuela. You guys have a very diverse group of people living here now. And it's great to get in contact with them, communicate with them, know what they're all about. And, you know, as you guys can tell, Saturdays and Sundays, we're just full, and I love to see it. So we're an extension of the community. A fun fact, when COVID struck down in Jackson Hole, we were one of, I think, 5 businesses that were allowed to stay open. So it was Smith's, Albertsons, us, and I think it was Whole Grocers or something like that. Yeah, so we were deemed as an integral part of the community. So we want to keep that mentality. We want to keep that motion going. We receive anybody with open arms that's willing to come and hang out at our store and yeah, just get to know a little bit more about us. But yeah, we also want to introduce local breweries. We want to, obviously we're going to have the Dos Equis and such, but we want to make an emphasis on pushing local breweries. And
That's wonderful.
yeah, any questions?
No, thank
Cool.
you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Any other discussion? All right. All in favor of approval for the new liquor license application for Marquina?
Yes, sir.
Marquina LLC, DBA Tienda La Mexicana. Say aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Ayes have it, no nays. And that passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. I
Hey,
really
you
appreciate
betcha,
it.
man.
Thank you so much for coming.
No worries.
Okay, going to reports.
Never mind.
You got it.
Engineering report. Yeah.
All right, on the radio read project. So they've gone through the state's approved the drawings as far as we can put it out to bid. Legal's reviewed the contract documents and gave us some information of work from there. So we just have to do the final completion of that. And then we're looking at trying to get that out the end of this month so we can start getting it bid the end of this month. And then our hope is to get it bid, get a contractor before the next council meeting, which is going to be pretty tight to get it before, but that's our hope. So. The water model, Sunrise said that they're going to be on schedule to get it done in August of 2025. I think we thought it was going to be August of 2024. So, yeah. So they said they're getting started on that now, trying to get the bases together, and then they're going to start really getting into it. So, MAP, Midwest Assistance Program, they sent us this sewer study today, actually. I talked to Lee a little bit today. I don't know if you got a chance to, but he said your question on the tap fees, he said that's pretty much up to what y'all have. Okay. And it's all dependent on how you want to do that, if you want to catch it or not catch it. He said you see a lot of different municipalities across the state that some do it just exactly the cost that they take to put in, some do it to try and connect and get some of the infrastructure costs back. Okay. But it did look like we're a little bit low on our rates to try and get up to the 1.2%. So you've got a little bit of maintenance monies in there. So, but that'll be something that y'all can look at a little bit further as you get into it.
Yeah.
So.
And I have not, I glanced through it. I have not read that, but I'll forward it to all of you. It's the wastewater rate study. They are to be also doing the water rates as well.
Right.
So
Okay.
we're anticipating that at some point as well.
That's supposed to be done in August as well, so hopefully that will be done for the next meeting. One thing on the sewer model, he put all the costs together for the wastewater treatment plant, and he thought it was going to be like 170 a year, and y'all are 140 at this time,
Yeah.
144. So you're pretty close in the range, but it's going to be great. He said he would like to get more data next year,
Yeah.
with like maybe 6 good months of the pre-treatment plant going,
Yeah.
and then he can redo this analysis, and then we'll have more information on y'all's side as well. So you can combine those two when you go to negotiations.
Great.
So, let's see, the pre-treatment plant, we had our first construction meeting today on Teams. They've got some forklifts, they've got a front-end loader, they've got some things trying to show up, a trailer there with some materials. They're still looking for some materials, so they didn't have anybody on site today because they didn't want to have people there just to show that they were there. So, I told them, I reiterated to them, substantial completion according to the contract is October 14th. So that would push Cambrian, the equipment manufacturer, up to around September 15th when they start showing up to try and get their systems up and running, and hopefully that end of October we'll try to start it up. So that's the plan. Let's see, the water rate. Then one of the items on there is Musgrove Engineering is for $4,500 to do the design for the mega well generator and the Grays River generator. All that work as far as that way we can bid out the mega well generator because they want to run all 3 wells at once. The generator now can only run 1 well. And then during peak summer time, you're running actually all 3 wells at one time. So Craig wanted to make sure that generator was strong enough for that. The existing mega well generator can be moved, not the mega well, the Grays River generator can be moved to the mega well. It's actually the right size for that. Oh, okay. So that would be part of that project, but you'd have to buy the generator to get it here and then do all the swap.
Okay.
So that's what he's going to be working on for that, if y'all agree to that amount. And then the lift station generator, we put that out to a public bid. We got 1 response on it. They gave us an option that we didn't consider applicable to what we thought was the best for that. It was a Winco generator, and the other one was a CAT generator, similar to the one we had on Sourcewell. Unfortunately, he already sold the generator that was on Sourcewell, so he's got one that's coming in November that's already been ordered for that amount that I think it was like $63,000. So it's underneath the cost that y'all got from
Yes.
co-develop. So I'm thinking that's a pretty good deal, and it's from Western States,
Okay.
Western States Services up in this area. So, and Cat's a great name brand. So that's the one I was recommending. So those are the items that I had. Does anybody have any questions?
No, but I do have a comment. So with me going to be out, just work with Melody and Sarah.
Okay.
If you need anything for that advertising and bid, Sarah will be handling scheduling. So if
Okay.
you need something, please reach out to her.
Okay, cool.
If I'm not available.
Yeah, we'll just check with the time when you're available, and then we can take it from there.
Thank you.
Okay,
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
great. Thank you.
Thank you. Planning and zoning, Sue.
Good evening, Council, Monica and Council, Sue Colbus, Planning and Zoning. We have, at the moment, 41 active permits. Tienda La Mexicana did fulfill their obligation on the interior portion of their business with regards to town and state codes. But it's also understood that you won't be doing, or they won't be doing any more construction on the property in terms of anything upstairs that was discussed or whatnot. I heard that that had been tabled and you weren't going to proceed. So, but if you were, then obviously appropriate town and state permit applications would be apparent. There are a couple of property replats in process. That we haven't discussed it yet, but that will come up in planning and zoning at our next meeting. One being up at Lakeview Estates, which I just heard of. The commission is also working on developing the land use development code, the LUDC. It is intensive, to say the least. Every time we try to get you a packet, there's more to it. So that's in process. We hope to have it to you by the next meeting. And speaking of the next meeting, I also was able to look at a new ordinance that's coming down for noise control. And when I was kind of glancing at it, because I think it's really important, I noticed some definitions were being added and or upgraded. And I found that with what we're doing with the LUDC and what that is, that glossary needs to be merged, and so that they're all the same. And there was some discrepancy. So we'll go through that, but we are working with Monica and everyone to get that on the same page, so there's no confusion. Last but not least, the Planning and Zoning Commission did provide a brief response to the Lincoln County Planning and Engineering regarding the Alpine Trailhead project, which is south of town. The response is in your packet. We don't know all that much yet. There's a meeting coming up on the 24th, I believe. We'll know more down in Afton. I think a few of us are going to be going. We don't know. I think, Jim, the question will be, is the will serve letter even valid at this point? We don't know.
We'll cover that a little later on.
Yeah, I figured. But again, planning and zoning doesn't really know that much either. So we're in the process of learning, and you all will be able to tell us more. So that's about it at this point.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. I'm going to, if she'll let me, Shay, you mind sneaking in and giving us an update on music so far?
Shay Scafidi, and I help with the Alpine Music Series. It's been going great. So we started off with the Chan Man group on the first Thursday. Then for July 4th, we had a band from Denver. We had pretty good attendance. And then last week, we just keep going up every week. So it's been a great turnout, and the vendors keep saying thank you. So I do think the camaraderie between the two events has paid off in dividends for everybody. And then this week is DJ karaoke, and then we have a whole sign up at the park. But we really appreciate, we send people to your place to eat, or we send them to the food trucks, but we are trying to do anything we can to support businesses locally, and that's our main goal. So we appreciate everyone coming out. It's been a great attendance, knock on wood. Weather has been in our favor every week. So we hope to continue that this Thursday as well.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you, Shay.
Thank you, Shay.
Then coming in for my updates, economic development, not much has changed there. I know the county's still working on getting things together. Mr. Mayor, have you heard any other new news with that?
No new news. You know exactly what I know. I think they're
slow process for sure.
Yep, thank you. Alpine Travel and Tourism Board report. Right now, we're pretty much on cruise control. All the projects or events that we've funded or in process, as Shay just talked about, that Music in the Mountains being one of them, with several other ones. You may have seen the town put out a request for artists for the welcome signs. That's ongoing, and then other projects ongoing. Our next meeting will be in October for the summer updates from those who did receive a grant and used it this summer, and then also to plan for the winter updates. And we're still working on a logo that's coming soon. And then going into easements. I see it's,
Can I
there
ask
it
you,
is.
can
Go
I
ahead.
inquire about the Travel and Tourism Board? We've had some conversations internally. Of course, Travel and Tourism has awarded the grants, has taken the applications, and I think has an understanding of what qualifies. How would you like me to handle the payment? Because, you know, I mean, do you want to see the invoices before we, because the town council is going to actually do the reimbursement. It's going to come out of the proper fund.
Right.
But my concern was is
As long as they're appropriate reimbursements.
right. And
Right.
so how would you like us to determine? Would you like
Yep.
to be the
Yeah.
department signer?
Yep.
In the
That,
case
that'll
of
work the best.
Okay.
Yeah, just put me as chair, or
Okay.
as I'm chair, put me as department signer.
Okay.
And
So we'll
then-
make sure you sign off of all of them before they end up on the bills to pay.
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Utility easements for the hill. We're going to Plan B. Yep. So we still could not get one signature. No, unfortunately, that one signature has 3 properties, and those 3 properties are the starting point, for the most part, of Sunset Drive. I talked to Heath today. We're working on Plan B. Their intent is still to develop it, get it going this summer, be done this summer, and move on. But we are having to go to Plan B. So once I know what Plan B is, we have ideas, but different paths, but no immediate action just yet. Unfortunately, yeah. Let's see here. Lincoln County Sheriff's Report, that has been submitted in the packet. You're free to look at that. And move on to action items. So we're on to ordinance number 2024-04, Island Subdivision Annexation for our third reading. Put it on the table. So for a motion to approve third reading, ordinance number 2024-04, Island Subdivision. Do I have a motion?
Seeking a motion to approve the third reading of ordinance number 2024-004, Island Subdivision Annexation.
Second?
Second. You got
James?
it.
Discussion. Monica, any different changes or
Nothing's
anything new with
changed
this?
Since I've heard nothing since last month.
Okay.
Could you remind me once again, Monica, you had said if we, not only creating a natural boundary, if we go ahead and annex this 2-acre property in, but you had said there was a potential for relinquishing a lift station. Can you remind me of the details? I think there was a.
So are you talking about the lift station that's on the adjacent property?
Perhaps. You had said the last time that we spoke that this would be an opportunity to,
For Island?
yes.
I'm drawing a blank. I am
Okay.
so sorry.
No, that's
Like,
okay.
I'm like,
There was a utility advantage.
so
the town.
there is a, so the advantage with this then is we will be able to complete that right away that goes through the property.
Right.
And then we have an agreement, an annexation agreement with Ray Hiffy's, to continue that, and that easement across his properties
Yes.
that we've already annexed. And so that easement will allow us to
If he doesn't
eliminate the
have
lift sta, could allow us to eliminate the lift station,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, I was not
But
clear.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's gonna complete an easement that the town of Alpine needs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because at this point in time, we have not had any plans dictated to us. We don't have any idea of
No.
if she has plans.
And I actually spoke to her personally before the second reading. She has no plans for the property at this time.
Okay.
I mean, I know she had entertained an offer, actually from, the owner of the Sure Stay.
Right.
So they had tried to come to an agreement and were unable to. And so he made an agreement with Mr. Hafiz.
Okay.
So, but that's all I know. But she's not planning on doing anything herself.
Thank you.
Marlo, were you on this? Did you have? No. Okay.
Unless there's questions. I could answer it.
I think we,
I think that was all of it.
yeah.
We don't have any information, so I wish I had more questions for you. Thank you for offering.
All right, hearing no more discussion. All in favor for approval of third reading of ordinance number 2024-04, Xylan subdivision annexation, say aye.
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 Aye. Aye, 5 ayes, 0 nays. Motion, third reading passes. Thanks, Marlo. All right, next, seeking a motion for approval of first reading on ordinance number 2024-07, noise control. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve on the first reading of ordinance number 2024-007, noise control.
Second?
Second.
Okay. And then Monica, will you go, how does this differ from our previous noise control?
Yeah, and so in your packet, let me find Craig's. So what we did is we had Craig do a report to you,
Perfect.
a staff report, about why this was necessary. So the primary reasoning behind the amendment to ordinance 2019-05 is to enhance the enforceability of noise restrictions as vehicles enter town. So it helps to align, it's aligning the ordinance with the current speed limits. So currently, Section 3 of the ordinance restricts motorized vehicles that exceed noise level limits at speeds of 40 miles per hour or less. This limitation becomes problematic in areas where the speed limit is 45. So it's not enforceable in those areas under the current ordinance, as vehicles may not be subject to the ordinance, and can then, create excessive noise. By extending the enforceable speed limit to 50 miles per hour, the ordinance can effectively address noise concerns as vehicles approach and enter the town limits. This is especially important in maintaining the quality of life for residents and reducing noise-related disturbances. So it is the staff's recommendation that the town council adopt ordinance number 2024-007, health, safety, and sanitation and noise control. And thank you, Sarah, for helping put that together with Craig.
Thanks, sir. Any discussion?
So planning and zoning has not discussed this? Did I understand that correctly? Okay. No, I just wanted to get your comments. Okay.
So Sue did read it, and she did have, she did bring to my attention that the definition for, was it right away? Right away is somewhat different than how it is defined in the land use or development code. Jim, it would be appropriate for those things to align if possible. Is that correct? Yeah. So they're in the process of drafting an update actually to the term right away. And so she's going to provide us with the language before the next meeting to make that edit here. And there was one other item. What was that, Sue? I'm sorry.
There was the item of, did we need construction or demolition activity in this particular ordinance? And then, honestly, I was just, when it refers to mayor, And he, moving forward, I felt it was appropriate to have he/she,
She,
just to be politically correct. There were just a couple minor items.
Yeah, and so Jim, because there is restrictions in the land use development code, that was the point she brought up, about demolition activity. Is it appropriate for it to be in both places, though?
Yeah, it can be.
Okay. But it should be consistent.
right.
So we need to,
That's what our,
so we need to just make sure they're consistent?
exactly.
Okay. And we'll do that before the next meeting. Thank you, Sue. I really appreciate your help with that, honestly.
Any other discussion?
So there were no other changes to time or decibel level?
No,
Okay,
just to the speed limit.
okay.
Great. Andrea?
Seems logical.
So we're looking for second reading to essentially mirror LUDC language. Is it language or definition of right-of-way?
Definition.
Okay, and then,
Yeah, it's
He,
it was
she.
under, yeah.
okay. Put that in. Without anything from the audience? I don't want to disturb you guys in weird.
Oh, that's,
Oh, you're hiding. I didn't see you there.
that's funny.
Mr. Larson, you always know I'm here.
I should have.
Dan Scow, Planning and Zoning. If we're going to further talk about annexation, especially County 100, if we're going to talk about noise ordinance, you better start thinking about what you're going to do with the air park. Because you're going to have problems with the people in Alpine Meadows complaining that if you have an ordinance and you can't stop that noise,
Right,
so that's all I got.
thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Can,
But you have different zones appropriated in your ordinance, don't you?
in
Yeah.
which ordinance?
Your noise ordinance that you're proposing.
Well,
It talks about
It-
different
Yeah, because you,
zones.
It says
between
residential.
R1, MRC, well, R1, R2, MRC, and commercial, yeah.
And it may be that it needs to specifically say that within this area with the air park, that this doesn't apply.
I see what you're saying. So an exception.
Yes.
Because, I mean, not that all of us aren't empathetic or sympathetic, whichever is appropriate in this case, to the concerns of the residents of Alpine Meadows. It's in the county and it's not regulated by the town of Alpine, so I don't know that we can fix their concerns, but so essentially, it just does seem kind of like, okay, so we can say it's something that is gonna be there and
Yeah.
that's all we can say. Okay.
Well, I think upon just glancing at this, I'm going to add my 2 cents. There's a little.
Do you wanna?
Yeah,
come up?
I was going to
so that-
say,
yeah,
thank you.
That way the mayor
Sue,
can hear you too.
Gonna add the 2
Sorry.
cents, got to get on the mic.
2 cents. Just in reading this, there's a little bit of ambiguity here and there, and I think this is a first reading, and, you know, there was a few other things I picked up on, and obviously this isn't the place to go into it, but like even the noise resulting from the use of pyrotechnics during town celebrations and or holidays, well, what does that mean? How many days is that? You know, how long does that last? Someone's interpretation of a holiday could be a week. So, you know, there's just some things that need to be more defined, and this needs some work, that's
If you
all.
want to go through it, Sue, would you go through it and then send it to
Sure,
all of us, just as we would? I
absolutely.
mean,
Why not? No, it's a
well, it
pleasure.
sounds like you already have, but if,
Well, I
just
have,
to
and-
send the notes to the council.
And you know why I was thrilled is I live right here and I can hear those compression breaks. So as soon as I read that, I was like, yes. You know, and they're,
I'll send you the Word version because then it will be
thank
more
you.
effective.
Yeah, and it's a pleasure to do it, and I was thinking about the air park as well. But again, it's in the county. You know, I know that there's times that can be stipulated in a lot of these things. You know, construction noise can start after X time, finish by X time. You know what I mean? There's so many cities around the country that give you a time frame. Just saying.
I believe, I know in the original one, there's a time frame in there.
Yeah.
There should
And I think there should be on a few of these items.
And since there's some
Specifically.
crossover, since what I hear from you is that there's some crossover between land use development code language and this specific ordinance, you're welcome to place it on your agenda and you as a group, as a commission, have a conversation about it. We'd certainly appreciate your input.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Pleasure to serve.
Thank you, Sue.
I don't want to throw a spanner in the works, but,
You were looking at me, suspicious.
I'm looking at everybody. How are you going to enforce this?
Right.
I mean, in the 24, 25 years that I've been an attorney and I've seen these on the books and other places, I have yet to see a noise ticket. So it's all good to have this law on the books. But,
Ask the expert.
I mean, are we going to have our law enforcement people put down their investigation, stop following the drunk driver or whatever it is, and go and try to do a noise reading and see if we got a violation? I mean, it's one of these things is it's great to have laws, but if there's no way of enforcing it or that's difficult to enforce, then why are we doing it?
to someday that we might be able to enforce it.
Okay,
Someday.
someday.
Well, and
Someday.
I think a code enforcement officer can do some of it, just in reading
Have
the
a code
language.
enforcement officer.
When we find a new code enforcement officer,
Do we have a decibel reader?
I don't.
Okay.
We quantify it.
Right, because that's generally how it's done is with decibel readers, number one. Number two is code enforcement officer can't chase down, I hate jake breaks too, but it's kind of difficult for them to hop in the town vehicle and chase them down and ticket them. You know, that may be something that, I'm just trying to be reality here. I know it's frustrating, and yes, I'd love, there's all kinds of laws that I'd love to have. But it comes down to me having to be the one to enforce it eventually.
Well, you know, it's interesting, just living over here, and the fireworks go June through July, if not,
Alpine.
exactly.
12 days.
And I can tell, exactly, and I can tell you that neighbors have taken the initiative to go down there and tell them to stop, and they did.
Yeah.
And it's happened several times. So I think people, if no one says anything, oh, it's a party town. But if you say something, I think most people are respectful.
Yeah.
So that's just the community coming together and speaking out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
What's that?
Is the decibel reader you can get on your phone?
The fireworks,
I don't know how
fireworks this year were less.
admissible that is.
Totally agree.
My neighborhood's bad too.
I was thrilled this year.
Yeah.
It's been so much
Only
better.
2 days.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But anyway,
Sorry.
No, that's, I mean, that's a very valid point.
No, but having an ordinance in place also allows the community to reference an ordinance and hopefully find some remedy so they have a basis to go off of. But a decibel reader is a great point, something that could be recognized and reliable.
Yeah.
I know we have certain ordinances in place as, for better term, CYA for our insurance company, such as we can't fire BB guns technically in the town of Alpine.
Right.
Right.
But, yeah,
It's just kind of a philosophy of law that we're discussing here. It's
Right.
What good's the law if we have no way of enforcing it, or the enforcement thereof is too onerous to justify enforcing the law.
is there a,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, Mr. Mayor?
I just think there's also an opportunity, if we get it on the books, to be able to use the sheriff's deputies if we did have it is a problem, and we do get complaints. But if it got out of control, I think we probably could. The town would have to pay extra, but get law enforcement to, watch it and write tickets to the offenders if we had to.
Is that something the sheriff's department can issue tickets for? If you're coming through here and you see somebody with brakes over the speed
If it's on
limit?
your ordinance, we can.
Okay.
But like Jim said, it's still falling on him to prosecute it. So you still
And
have-
I'm not saying this to get out of
No, I know
prosecuting,
what you're saying.
but I mean, you want to go in there with a good case. You don't. I mean, with the Jake breaks, I guess the deputy could come in and testify. Yes, I heard him do it. I issued the ticket. That's an easy one.
Right.
But if we're talking about, Bob Smith's over here working on his house and he's got the stereo going and Bob and Adams doesn't like what Bob Smith's doing and it's too loud and come enforce this, well, you better have a decibel thing, so.
Well, I think it does come back to that, because I know in years past, definitely why we passed the first noise ordinance is we had repeat offenders. One, it was the boom, just the start of the boom of construction. So we had repeat offenders of construction sites starting at 6, going till 10 or 11 with noise. We had repeat offenders of Jake breaks coming out of there who we could definitely identify, that's the driver, that's the culprit, and he's doing it every day between the hours of 3 and 3:30. So that's why we passed the first one. With this second one just modified to now include that 45-mile-an-hour strip here in south of town. That's where, to me, it comes down like, okay, we have a repeat offender known, we can clock it in at this time, we get sheriff involved, we've asked them nicely, hey.
Yeah.
That's where it comes, where we have a little bit of teeth, is my thoughts.
Yeah.
And as far as your neighbor playing music too loud, get to know your neighbor. I can't stress enough, everybody should walk their neighborhood and say hi to their neighbors, because that way you get to know them, and when you walk over there and say, hey, mind just turning it down, you have a relationship.
Good idea.
I agree.
Okay, any other comments, discussions? Okay, hearing none, can I have a vote for approval of first reading on ordinance number 2024-07, noise control, first reading? All in favor, say aye.
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 Ayes have it, no nays. On to second reading with some of the adjustments from Sue. Thank you, Sue. Okay, going on to Resolution 2024-28, Alpine Lakes Annexation Petition Public Hearing. I'm seeking a motion to for approval of Resolution 2024-28, Alpine Lakes Annexation Petition Public Hearing. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution number 2024-028, Alpine Lakes Annexation Pension Public Hearing.
Second?
Second.
Great. Discussion. Monica, we talked about this a bit.
Yeah.
Where,
And so I'm almost finished with the annexation report. The publication has to be completed. In order to meet this timeline, it has to be out on Monday. And it will be. Surveyor Sherbel's office, both Marlo and Jamie have been fabulous in getting me everything that I need to try to really just be able to give you a really comprehensive report on what it is you're bringing into the town of Alpine. As I went through this process, we identified that there was a half of a piece of property being brought in. It would then need to be subdivided, so we've worked through those details with both Jim and Surveyor Sherbel's office. We're now identifying a couple properties that are not currently in our utility billing system, but are on the water system. And so we're working through those. Everybody's been really great about getting those things cleaned up. But I know Marlo was working. Did you meet with Craig today? I did. Okay. So he generously had offered to meet with Craig, which for anybody who doesn't know is our Public Works Director, to go through and actually on-site review the easements for the water and sewer system that we have, to just make sure they're sufficient. So I'm just trying to be really intentional, because I've recognized that a lot of the things that tend to come out as we read through these, my goal is to try to address them up front. So it's been a bit of a juggling act, but I think we're almost there. And so I'm anxious to hear how you and Craig made out today. And I'm hoping to be able to send you over my report just to take a look at it, both you and you guys to look at it real quickly, just so we can chat about it if we need to before I finalize it and we do the actual publication for the hearing. So the mailers. So yeah.
Okay.
But
You feel we're good to approve the resolution?
yeah, honestly, I think their application was complete. And there's nothing that I have found that makes their application not complete. There is items that I think may or may not, depending on how you feel about them, your legal counsel, but they may or may not require an annexation agreement to be able to annex this property. So that's what I'm trying to identify. I want to make sure that if there's anything that we need to have an agreement so that once the property's annexed, that those things are taken care of.
Yes.
After the fact, that needs to be identified now.
Okay.
And so that's what I'm trying to do. And I think I have identified all of them. Some of them we're actually solving that may actually be removed from the report if they're solved. So, yeah.
Hold on one sec. Marla, did you have anything on this?
Not at this point.
Okay.
I think this is really just a set of hearing date.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Sue?
So this is, okay, because I had looked at this project when it was an MRC R1, R2, and I guess everything changed into an MRC R1. And I know there's a master plan that is imminent, and just based on preliminary discussions, there could be a little bit of a conflict there in terms of zoning. So I didn't know, that I found out today, so I just wasn't sure. I think that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, and so what I found later today, myself, Christine, and Melody all had all of our files out, all of our, their old files, Sharon's old files, and what I found is this annexation is also going to be predicated upon a series of agreements that were previously adopted by town council. So there is already agreements in place for the annexation of this property. And so they will also be attached to the report, because one of my items on the report is you must read the MOU, the original developers agreement, and then the amendment to the developers agreement, because it already binds the town to certain things.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But today, just for the resolution?
It's just a hearing.
Just a hearing.
And so I have allowed an hour for that hearing.
Okay.
But I'm certain it's going to take the whole hour. So at this point, I think there's a lot to talk about. I don't think that's
It sounds
good.
like it,
I don't
yes.
think it's good or bad. Do you know what I mean? It's
There's
just a
just
lot of it.
details.
There's a lot of information.
Okay.
The report will, I think I'm up to item G or H, attachment to the actual annexation report to provide you with the supporting documentation.
No,
So
a big
it's
piece of
going to be
property with
substantial.
A lot going on.
Yeah, but yeah, I think by the time we get to the hearing, you're going to know everything you need to know.
Perfect.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Monica, August 20th, is that not our primary?
Is
election?
it? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that
I
sounds
believe
right.
that it is,
Is it?
yes.
And normally, now that you say that, normally both, because I know Sharon always left.
You're with me this time.
Yeah, that Sharon always left the polls early to attend the town council meetings.
Okay,
because they're always on the
On the
third
Tuesdays.
Tuesday.
okay,
So she always excused herself and then came back.
okay.
Yeah. Do we want to change the date? Because we have the opportunity to do so if
I
you'd
was-
like to.
I'm not sure. I was just wondering about attendance. If everybody's already voting at the polls, then they can certainly come to the public hearing
But
afterward.
they might be standing in line at the polls and not be able to be here either. I know that it's a presidential election year.
Yes. And we are beefing up this year as far as volunteers at the county level, but I'm not sure how much quicker we're going to be able to move the lines. So
Yeah.
maybe that's worth discussing.
Yeah, and actually, we're taking Sarah, Melody, myself, will all be there.
Okay.
From this office as well, so I'm
That's
excited
wonderful.
about that. So, do we want to change the date? Now's the time to do it. We could change it to like Wednesday of that week if you'd like.
I don't foresee I could be wrong, I don't foresee the preliminaries being, or the primaries being
As a draw.
as a draw.
Well, no, it's already kind of
There's-
decided.
Yeah. No matter what camp you're in, you got one choice.
True story.
But it will be a draw locally, for sure.
In November, yeah.
Well, yeah, I just
Well-
don't want to keep anybody, like you mentioned, if they're stuck in line and wanted to make the public hearing.
I would not want to interfere with, because as we know, the election's really the 20th for this
Yeah,
area.
yeah,
November won't mean much,
yeah. That's true.
but. We have a change?
I just don't want anyone stuck in line if
No.
they really want to attend this. That's my only concern with the date.
Mr. Mayor, do you have a opinion on this?
I do. Thank you for asking. What is the statutory requirement on how many days do you have to post it before the meeting?
20. No,
How
or
many?
is it 20 or 30? So we have to do certified mail to a specific group of people 20 days in advance, 20 business days in advance of the hearing.
Did you
And
hear that,
then
Mr. Mayor?
there's others that have to be done by first-class mail, and it's not 20 days, but we send them all out in the same day as, anyways, so it's 15 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we consider changing the date of town council to the 21st and this public hearing, do it on the 21st?
So change both.
And then we'll have no conflicts, no reason for people to stay home from our riveting meeting. We don't want any excuses for people not to come to our meeting as well.
Yeah,
Actually, I would appreciate that because
I like that idea.
I will be an election judge and I'd like
Yeah.
to be at the town council meeting.
So
Yeah, since so many of our staff are gonna be helping
There.
with the election, I think that would actually be a good idea.
Yeah.
So
Works for me.
statutory, we're able to do that.
yes, yeah, we're actually pushing it back one day.
Yeah.
So we're good.
Then,
And then we'll also, and it's no problem, we'll also have to just post an advertisement about the change in the
Okay.
town council meeting, but we can
Yes.
do that as well.
we have plenty of time.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, well, let's get the hearing passed. So all in favor of approval of resolution number 2024-28 Alpine Lakes annexation petition public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Mayor?
Sorry, how'd you unmute? Aye, thank you.
Thank you. 5 ayes, no nays. Ayes have it. And then, so to note, we will plan on the 21st of August for both the public hearing and following the town council annual monthly meeting. Moving on, D, resolution number 2024-29, establishing a Venmo business account. Can I get a motion or a motion on approval of establishing a Venmo business account?
I make
So
a mo-
moved.
Second? Awesome. Any discussion, Monica? Why do we need a Venmo business account?
So, with the music, the Thursday musics, and also our other events, one of the things that we'd like to take advantage of is the opportunity of doing a QR code so that people can make donations. So we'd like to be able to hang them at our events, whether it is the music or even Mountain Days or maybe Jubilee, so that people have the opportunity to do that. The most effective way to do that after our investigation is through Venmo. And so that's why we made that decision. We were looking at a PayPal option, and that's just, it's just not going to work. And so this resolution allows us to do a couple things just for clarity's sake. It allows us to accept donations for town events through that Venmo account, to allow the processing of vendor payments. Right now, the town does have a PayPal account that we do accept vendor payments for Mountain Days through, but we will be able to shift that into Venmo. And then I also put in that it is an opportunity to manage other miscellaneous payments. It is my opinion that we absolutely will never accept a utility billing payment for that or any of that, but we did have a very strange request recently to be able to utilize a service such as that, because somebody who received a ticket did not want to give us their card information. They wanted to Venmo us the money. So
What does Venmo charge us to?
So Venmo, I'll kind of sneak
Go
in here.
right ahead.
For Alpine Trails and Pathways, we have a Venmo account. It is a little fuzzy math. It's if I remember correctly, it's like 10 cents, 10 cents and 2%. So ideally, it's more for kind of nickel and dime stuff. At least that's what we use at best. If I know somebody's going to donate $100 or more, I'll ask, would you please write us a check or cash? But for quick nickel and dime stuff, kind of what you're talking about for Mountain Days, just the quick stuff that we'll use during our fundraisers, Venmo is very convenient. But there is a charge. So I want to say on $100, we'll take $97.90 or something like that.
And I do believe that's less than we spend on our merchant services.
I know it is.
So
I think we have a Venmo account we're setting up for the food bank, and I think our treasurer was setting it up as a nonprofit from the get-go. So that might, when you set it up, if you set it up correctly, you might be able to avoid all that
okay,
anyway.
I'll watch for
But
that. Thank you.
They still
for
charge
that.
us
Oh, do they?
because
Oh.
we're nonprofit. So, and it's, I think what we did is because we're nonprofit, we got free QR codes and QR code stickers.
Oh,
and,
gotcha.
And the whole
That's
kind of
awesome.
package. So
That's good.
yeah, it's something.
Yeah.
Thoughts, Richard, please.
Richard Jenkins. I'm just old school, but why the hell we need a Venmo account? I don't get it. We checks, credit cards, cash. We haven't, for hundreds of years, we never had a Venmo account. Why today? And does not the bookkeeping cost more than anything else? Doesn't it add an element to the bookkeeping?
It doesn't. I mean, yes and no. So, and all I can speak of is on behalf of Trails and Pathways, because I'm also the bookkeeper. It actually, you hook it into your bank account, and it makes it very easy to press a button, and it prints out your statement, and then it sends it all back to your bank account. So it's actually pretty easy. Why do we need it? In my opinion, I'll let you jump in. It becomes a convenience factor. I know more and more places actually don't even accept checks. People don't have checks printed. So it's kind of that morph between, I like to say basically that morph between 8-track or vinyl to digital. There's still people that have vinyl and still people love vinyl and use it, but more and more people are going to digital And that's
Everybody
what-
has a smartphone.
Yeah.
And more people will be, willing to donate, easy to donate. I mean, it's
I-
all about ease.
It just seems wrong that I go to a restaurant, fast food, and I get to a kiosk and they don't take cash. They don't take cash. But now we're going to do Venmo, but we're not going to take cash.
Will
I'm
absolutely
old.
take your cash.
I'm old school. I
We'll
want,
have to take cash.
okay. I see no need for it. So there you go. That's
We
my,
won't take cash. We
No,
won't.
and
Thank you,
can
Richard.
I
Yeah, the
comment?
banker.
Okay, so the number one reason that this topic came up is because people go to the music and they want to donate towards the music. And they asked, how do we donate towards the music? And if you can catch people when it's fresh in their mind and they can scan a QR code and make a donation to help us pay for it, that's amazing. Nobody carries cash anymore, so even if we had someone standing there with a bucket, I think we'd still not get the response that we get from offering Venmo.
Right.
And then it just kind of transitions into some other, like, if people are at the Easter egg hunt and they want to donate to help support that, they can scan the QR code. We get almost nothing in the buckets that we put around town for donations at this point because no one ever has cash. And so it's a convenience factor just for this day and age that we're living in. But for other things, yeah, cash is fine, check is fine. Come to the town, write a check, do whatever you need to do. But in the moment at the event, that's how we're going to get our support with financial donations.
That's a good point. I think it's more secure too, because I know we've had, with some fundraising in town, we've had a couple incidents over the years where some of those donation buckets were taken advantage of. So this adds an added.
Right, yeah. So that's
Benefit.
basically what it comes
That
down
makes
to.
sense.
Any other thoughts?
But we still take cash.
Yes, we still
We
take
still
cash.
love
Cash is still
cash.
king.
And we did do pretty good with the boot at the fire department fundraisers. And that was at the grocery store where people were able to get cash back
Right,
for their transaction.
that's true.
So, but yeah, so it still works, but other times it doesn't work so well.
No, and you're right, there was a little encryption comment back there that will have to be top of mind.
It's pretty secure.
Yeah.
Their backdoors are pretty secure.
It said it's pretty secure, Venmo. I mean, I haven't had any issues.
Okay.
Hey, if you're at the music, have a few beers, you're more willing to donate. If you gotta go to the ATM, you might talk yourself out of it.
Little detachment giving.
I just,
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of Resolution 2024-029, establishing a Venmo business account, say aye.
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 Ayes have it, 5-0. All right, moving on. Town council comments, Alpine Trailhead Project. Looking for a motion to have a letter drafted to Lincoln County Planning and Zoning Commission commenting on the Alpine Trailhead Project to be read aloud by Mayor Green at the Star Valley Development LLC public hearing on July 24th, 2024. Can I have a motion?
so moved.
Perfect. Second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Mr. Mayor, would you like to talk on this?
Absolutely. I think I plan on attending the Planning and Zoning Commission and just speaking about how a development like this would affect the town of Alpine. I don't know if everyone there has seen my letter to the commission. If you haven't, I would recommend going and downloading it and just see what we've put on there. Basically, we're just stating facts, the timeline, and we've also recommended that they give us hopefully a 60-day period of time to get our ducks in a row and just really follow through on some of the discussions and really referendums that they made in the previous administration to see if we truly can see if our infrastructure truly can withstand this type of subdivision. So,
Thank you. Further discussion?
So for the public hearing, I spoke with the Commissioner's Chief of Staff, Stephen Allen. He's a great resource for all of the community. And he welcomed the public to make all comments, all entities of the town of Alpine or any other relevant entities to submit their comments about this plan unit development. So I know that we'll have discussions about this, but for me personally, where my concern lies is capacity and maintenance. There were some discussions on infrastructure. I appreciate planning and zoning submitting a very firm letter just reminding that all infrastructure costs, design engineering would be the duty and responsibility of the applicant. We have very little information to go off of. The mayor and Monica have worked extremely hard on building a historical timeline for us to work off of. For me, since to my knowledge, I'm happy to be corrected, we've never submitted a will-serve letter that's been a mile, over a mile outside of city limits. I don't have any data to draw off of on what our future maintenance costs look like for that infrastructure, especially if at every mile we need to implement a pump station. What type of maintenance costs will we accrue due to that? So while there's a revenue opportunity, and I'm assuming that's the opportunity that the previous administration had seen, I think that's one very important factor, but that holistically this needs to be considered because there's a lot of financial obligations on behalf of the town, especially requesting a capacity study that's going to involve town staff and labor and engineering. I don't know what the cost for that's going to be. And looking at all of our utilities, considering all of our current open will serves, we have significant ERUs that we've made promises to for utilities, and then all of our subdivided undeveloped land. So I concur with Mayor Green that we need to make sure that when we make these promises, we are looking at all of our open will serves and capacity needs for the future.
Thank you. Other discussion?
Just one more comment, if you don't mind. I think this really hammers home the fact that we need to research and come up with a plan for impact fees. This subdivision in extending the infrastructure a mile, 1.2 miles down the road, we need to determine what the cost is to our current infrastructure to bring someone like this online.
Yes.
And I don't know if we're going to be able to do that within 60 days, but it may take a lot longer than that. So I think asking for the 60 days to see if we can figure out if, the fire flows, if we can accommodate their fire flows is super important. But in general, we need to, as a town council, figure out if we're going to be doing impact fees and how do we determine how much they are and what they're going to fund, because we have other subdivisions that are coming online, and I think this is the time for us to make those determinations. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to hit on the, as far as the past administration of approving the will serve letter. At the end of the will serve letter, quote, "The council's approval to provide water and sewer service was based upon the current available capacities within the wastewater treatment plant and potable water system. Current available capacities at that time was 2021. We've grown quite a bit since then. I don't know that's up to legal to determine where language comes in.
Well, I think that does have an issue there, but what evidence do we have that we right now cannot serve the will serve letter? I'm not trying to defend the will serve letter.
No.
I don't even recall it being ran by me because it doesn't have expiration date.
Right.
One. Two, my understanding is Star Valley Land and Development isn't the one that's actually doing this project. So my question is are we legally obligated? Because unless there was something giving us notice that, hey, we're sending this on. So there's some issues there. And I think
Okay.
through doing all this research, and reading very carefully the language that was used, I think, and I'm not opposed to this at all. I am the treasurer of the town of Alpine, and I gotta tell you, the connection fees would really go a long way to solve the financial difficulties that the wastewater system has. And I'm not saying that should be the only justification, but there's a lot of financial tension in the wastewater side. And so it presents an opportunity from just a purely financial standpoint. However, I was in the water and wastewater business. That's what I did for a living before I moved to Wyoming. And what concerns me is the language specifically that was used in the letter that was presented to town council in 2021. It says, also with the available storage and pumping capacity, it should not be difficult to supply 1,000 gallons per minute for fire flow. It does not say that a model was ran
No.
and that we have 1,000 gallons a minute. That it didn't say we can provide it. It says should not be too difficult. So that's where I hesitate. Like from a clearly professional system, that language does not say to me that the determination was made that at that time they could meet the fire flow. Maybe they could, maybe they couldn't. I don't know.
We don't, but that's the thing, we don't have.
And I
did,
did, and just so you know, I did reach out to Mr. Oblandi, and I asked him specifically for the results of the capacity study that the town council had asked to be completed.
Right.
And he said the study was not yet completed when this letter was written.
Okay,
And he was going to look and see if he had that, but I have not heard back.
right.
So I would assume if he had it, he would have given it to me because Bob's a great guy. So, yeah.
Well, and I'll temper just one statement that you made. I would love for this to be an opportunity for Alpine, and I'd love for it to be a viable revenue stream. However, since we don't have any numbers, it becomes an issue of what's our break even?
Yes.
At what point is any revenue that we would make on a hookup, at what point is that amount outweighed
I
by
agree.
unknown infrastructure
Yes.
maintenance?
No, and there is long-term maintenance. You're right, because it does also mention in this letter that they're going to have to size their pipe to be able to provide the proper pressure that they need to be able to manage this.
Yes.
And you're exactly right. It may need a pump station to repressurize when it gets there, and I assume they will turn it over to us, and that is a long-term maintenance issue.
Yes.
It is. Lift and pump stations are ongoing costs.
Yes.
And that as they age, they become more and more costly. So
Yes.
I do think it's worth analyzing.
Just, last time I worked on an impact fee project was in 2008. And Sunrise conducted the study, and as our engineer should conduct the study.
Yeah.
But this was just for the town of Afton. They returned their study that the impact per lot of any new additional lot was between $13,500 and $16,700 per lot.
Wow. That's considerable.
So, but that was 16 years ago.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, so these are things that I think if you're gonna have impact fees, you need to commission these guys to get us a study done, so. Because they have to be reasonable according to the
Yes.
law, and you have to have a basis of them.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Yes, Richard, please.
Richard Jenkins. I think it's very prudent of his council to review those capacities and think about the impact fees. And for one thing, she mentioned and I read also that the 1,000 gallons per minute is what's required for firefighting. That's wrong. Each truck puts out 1,000 gallons per minute. And if you have a row of houses that are like this far apart, you're going to have more than one truck fighting that fire. So if you don't need, you're going to need 3,000 gallons a minute.
Okay.
So I don't know where they come up with these numbers, but they're wrong. I'm sure of it. So anyway, so beyond that, beyond those fire capacities, water capacities, sewer capacities, police capacities, other things, you also have the fact that they're 1.2 miles from the town of Alpine, and you have no control on the building codes that they're going to build by, and you must insist that you have that control. We had a town of Alpine, before we had a town, we had a water system. We didn't have a sewer, but we had a fire department, we had EMS, all that before a town. The reason we incorporated this town was to control the building codes. Number one problem we had, buildings were falling down. And even today, if you go to Lincoln County and get a building permit, you pay your $50, and they only want to know if the sewers be working or not. So why would we let a project develop in our proximity when we don't have control of the building codes? This would be wrong. So please, either incorporate it or get it within that 1 mile jurisdiction that you have some control, but do not let Lincoln County run the building codes on any project that you have control of.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
Anyone else? Yes, sir, please.
Good evening. Short people. Dave Gustafson, 27-year resident for Alpine, 24 years up on the hill. And just want to comment, I appreciate the discussion. And just want to remind everyone up on the hill, we're still on septic systems up there. We have 30 to 50-year-old septic systems up there. I really do, and I want to chime in, what Richard said was perfectly spelled out. We should focus on what's in the town limits. We should focus on the hill. Get sewer up there. I know most of us want that up there. It's just not a good idea to be expanding our services outside of town limits with all of the responsibilities that we have in the future, because as we all see, this place has changed quite a bit. So I really think we should reserve what we have and really focus on what's in town limits. So thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Dave. Any further discussion?
So how do we, sorry to interrupt you. Oh, sorry, Shelly, go ahead.
I hadn't seen the letter about the timeline, and one of my questions is, I'm a little confused. So Andrea, Frank, and Jeremy passed it in 2021 with Mayor Lutz, and then it sat for a year, and then a contractor reached out for the will serve letter. So I'm a little confused as to what was the impetus and why Mayor Lutz moved ahead because a contractor asked.
And I can
Okay.
specifically let you know what happened. We did not provide all the detail in his letter because some of it was, in our opinion, a little more internal
Yeah.
than necessarily needed to be shared with the
Yeah.
Planning and Zoning Commission in
Yeah.
the county. So I was approached the day before the final town council meeting in which Mayor Lutz was the mayor. And so they called, they said they had reached out multiple times to Mr. Blondie. He did not ever send them a will serve letter. It was approved. He gave me the whole story. And I said, we'd be happy to look into it. The agenda was already set for the town council meeting. It was something that was already approved, so it didn't really need to go to them. So I did some research, and I provided a letter to Mr. Blondie, an email that stated, please provide, because we already knew we were switching engineers, that the new administration would be switching engineers. And so I asked them to provide the information to Jorgensen so that they could review it and provide the letter that was already agreed to by town council under Green administration. On the 23rd, It was either 20, I'm sorry.
It was the
23rd
23rd.
or the 28th.
The letter was issued 2 days before Christmas.
Yeah, and so I got an email from Mr. Blondie that said that Mayor Luce had reviewed 2 will-serve letters, approved them, and so I executed them on,
Okay.
because I was asked to.
Okay. Yeah, I think, and again, I go back to Mr. Blondie, who's no longer the town engineer, and we're, I think, 1.5 million over on a sewer plant. So as far as missing studies and dynamics, I think we have a lot of issues here with studies and such that I do hope, as far as capacity and everything else, that we can figure out that we've grown almost twice the size. I concur with Richard and David that we have so much to, I don't know, grow within the town limits that I can't believe we're looking a mile down the road. And so I think that's the hope. I think that's the hope of a lot of people. So thank you.
Thank you, Shay.
Thanks, Shay. Any further discussion?
So, Mr. Sanderson, will we be able to gain some enlightenment on the validity of the will serve moving forward?
That's my enlightenment. I
Okay.
mean, unless there's questions about it. So the big question is, what do you want to do about it?
Okay.
To contact these people and say, we're not going to serve them, that we're revoking their will serve letter. They've obviously spent money and resources trying to get to this next stage based on what prior administrations had said. So there's a question what we need to do. And we don't even have the evidence we need to say, no, we can't do this.
Right.
So until these guys come back and say yes or no, if they say yes, then you need to figure out what you're going to do. If they say no, then you at least have an arrow in the quiver to say, hey, we're going to pull this out. Okay? But I don't know that you're going to be able to do that within the next 30 days, 60 days, whatever it is that needs to be done.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Jeremy, I don't think you have the data to do anything. You have 0 data.
Right.
There's no backup, I mean, Jorgensen themselves would be the ones who would give you the data, and they haven't done the data. It makes absolutely no sense.
The last time that we put any resources towards a comprehensive capacity study was over a year ago. So we've had an incredible amount of annexation and growth since then.
That was a year ago, but what's, when we say incredible amount, how many additional units have we added?
We have unknown density.
Okay.
So
Known or unknown density?
unknown.
Okay, so, I mean, what would it take to take what, the data that you produced last year and figure out what we've got as far as what we've taken in and give us an update on it?
Yeah, and that's one of the items that we're looking at trying to do is put it all together at a table and see.
Kevin.
Sorry, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin Mahar, Jorgensen. Yes, that's one of the things JVA gave us that data that we did for the Melvin. So we've got that data as far as, but it was specifically pushed and looked at for what Melvin's doing.
Right.
And the BODs and the TSS. So, but we can pull some of that data out and then look at all the annexations. But like you had mentioned, a lot of this is mixed use lots that are coming in, and you don't know, we would have to maximize the amounts as far as the assumptions to be conservative. To say you're going to maximize this lot, and that was what you'd have to pull and extrapolate through the system. So,
True Grit is a perfect example of that.
yeah.
And is there a way, how would you determine if we could provide 1,000 gallons a minute fire flow?
Again, it would be the water model, which we'll get in 2025. But
A lot of questions.
yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, a way that might be able to happen with that would be basically, instead of pulling water from your existing system, maybe it's something you put a well in down there that would help expand. So there's a lot of different things you could look at to try and offset it, but it's cost and money and, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin. And then, so for this is just, all this motion is to submit the letter from the mayor addressing our concerns.
just to be clear, the mayor already submitted his personal, from Mayor
Yes.
Green, not from the town of Alpine, to them in writing, which was the deadline yesterday. So I guess what we're asking for is, do you, as a town council, as a whole, have any comments, or do you want to just say, we agree with what Mayor Green's, as a council, we agree with what's been submitted? I don't know. That was my concern, because our deadline for written, per the advertisement, was yesterday. So I just wanted you to have the opportunity, though, as a governing body, to comment if you would like to, and this was the only way I could figure out how to allow you to do that.
Yes, and the chief of staff assured me that because I let him know we as a body would not be able to meet prior to the deadline.
okay.
He said any public comment is welcomed and will be considered. It just won't be included in the staff report.
Okay, that's
So
wonderful.
we have an open
Perfect.
timeline from now until the 24th to
That's-
submit any
that's
public
great.
comments. I think with and I'm only basing this off of the letter that Mayor Green personally submitted, my comments as well did not take into account our questions on who the applicant actually is. So I think that is something that we could communicate. What was the other note that you?
Yeah, the question is whether they assumed the obligations under the will serve letter when they took over whoever we gave the will serve letter.
Right.
So-
Well, and you mentioned it was open-ended.
And that also
Yeah,
wasn't,
there's no time frame.
Yes.
And that's, I do have notes here about something I sent on will serve letters in the past that said they have to have time frames on it.
that is so,
That seems realistic, because if we had known at that
Yeah.
time that it was gonna be 3 years,
Right.
we would have been like, this needs to happen
That's
in
too open-ended.
This
you know.
expires at the end.
Right.
But,
We're waiting on the
but
water.
it's not in there, and I did not prepare this letter. This
Can
looks
that be
like-
submitted without legal counsel?
What? Will
Oh, will
serve?
serve,
Oh, yeah, you guys can
okay.
do whatever you want with it.
No, I was
Question
just
is how
curious.
much you want to pay me to fix it.
Right, because it seems in the past
Yeah.
you had given oversight, so I was just confused on why this one wouldn't have gone through legal.
I think it just got, because it had been forgotten and not done in a timely fashion, it got pushed through
Right.
by some people and skipped over this one. So,
well, and I think the
Mr. Chairman, I
concerns-
have a comment as well.
I think the concerns by the staff after that had transpired is what actually led to the communication that you sent us on how will serve letters should be done moving forward.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, please.
I also had a discussion with Stephen Allen, the Chief of Staff for Lincoln County Commissioners, and he told me that as far as the Planning Commission is concerned, that their application is complete. And with our will serve letter, they would probably move forward. So I just want to make sure it's totally clear that if we go in asking for 60 more days, there's a chance they could deny us and they would just approve this sight unseen, basically, because the application is complete right now. So, food for thought.
Thank you.
I have one more question. So how much will the study run from Jorgensen to figure out our capacity? Because I already know we're struggling as a town. So I'm like, and nothing against you, it's the study we need. But I guess I'm back to, why are we not, we need something on the books that a developer pays for these studies. So I feel like as a town person, for me to foot the bill for a developer out of Indiana who doesn't even live here,
Who's not developing here?
who's, okay, you're right,
Not even-
potential,
Yeah.
you're right. So it's just difficult to know, we need this study more than anything, but we wouldn't be doing this study if it weren't for the will serve letter. So I feel like we have this really, it just keeps going in circles, but we are bearing the brunt of it as townspeople when we need sewer on the mountain, when we need these other things. And then I guess the main question is, I don't see how the county could push this through without the study. I just think you're going to set us up for failure. I mean, my neighborhood on July 4th, and I do not want to sound this way, smells horrific. And that's because everyone is in town. and that is the smell on my porch. Secondly, we are making variances, is it variances? For 3-story hotels. That's not on capacity normal. So how many extra rooms did we just get on a Sure Stay? It was 166 rooms. Should it have stayed at 90? So I think these are part of the study, that if we are going to make variances and work on a master plan, we do have to go at maximum capacity, and then we have to even go further. Are we going to make variances for 3-story buildings all over Alpine, which would affect our sewer as well? I just want the life of the sewer and our well to go 10 years, 15 years longer than cutting it short for a mile down the road. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shay.
Yeah.
We just looked at the water model, or the sewer model, just like today I looked at it. So the plant is permitted for 400,000 gallons per minute to go through it. So the worst what we had last year, so this is last year's, was 130,000. So there's capacity there that we can see with the sewer plant, but we'd have to put all the annexations and everything into it to make that study. So that's reasonable for us to get to in a fairly timely manner. The water itself, I feel like you could say that we don't have a water model. We won't have one for a while. So you could basically push maybe just the water side back to them, make them get their own well, get their own water infrastructure, and then you could just look at the sewer side. Because you definitely have two different things to look at as far as the will serve. Doesn't look like you know or could tell them on the water side that you could tell you what they need, but the sewer, we could probably give you something on that. Pretty good.
And the capacity that Mr. Blondie had quoted at the time, off of the information that he received from the applicant, which was Reeves and...
Yeah, well, that was our engineer.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the applicant.
They had set aside that it would take 13.6%.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
For just this one project.
Yeah.
That would be their need. Okay.
So.
Yeah, and at that point, his analysis stated we had, in 2021, approximately 20 years at the historical average growth rate to need to upgrade the plant at his estimation, a cost of $5 to $6 million. I would say, based on his other estimations, I would say it's probably higher than that. So in 20 years, it's $10 million to double the size of the plant. So, but he said that takes off 7.5 years of growth.
Exactly, right.
At that, so
it's not 20
it's
years.
there, the capacity is there, sewer side, but it reduces
Does
the
have a
amount, the
limitation.
time to do it. So, and just to clarify, Shay, the developer did offer to pay for the capacity study. He did, and it was declined. Back then. So.
Let me clarify, the applicant is the same as the will serve letter, they're not too different, so that information is.
Yeah, there's also documents with Great Lakes
Okay.
on it. And so Christine and I had the same questions about the two different names we got at that time. And that one is a subsidiary to the other, and so they are used interchangeably. They're the two names that we have floating in documents. So, yeah.
All right, it seems to me that great discussion about the impact fee. We did have a discussion at Planning and Zoning that your impact fee should be 125% of what you're paying. The one thing that your will serve letter doesn't tell you or doesn't tell them is what it's going to cost them. So if you're 1.5 in the hole, just tell them it's $2 million. And then we'll get out of the hole. But, I mean, it's the impact fee.
You can't do it that way, I'm sorry.
Well, okay, but there's a way to get out of the hole.
Yes, you have to have a rational basis.
Correct.
And that's why we have the engineers do the studies, they discuss
Sure.
all of the inputs that go into it. You just can't say, we're $3 million in the hole, we're gonna divide that by 300 units, your impact fees.
To do a sewer line like that for a mile and a quarter is going to cost them net of $2.25 million.
Well,
I mean, that's just math.
they're gonna have to do that, but our impact for adding them on,
Correct.
we're just saying, we'll give you water and sewer in this.
Sure.
in this, okay? That doesn't say anything about impact fees, but if you're gonna have impact fees, you have to have a rational basis for what those impact fees are.
And I respect that. I respect that. Part of one of the things that we're bringing to you in that packet is that. And if you don't have the data to 125, or to 2025 to make that assessment, you can have the impact fee before you have to make the call.
Gotcha.
See what I'm saying? I think you can get out of it with making everybody happy.
Well, we'll see how we can make
Thank you,
everybody
Dan.
happy. Thanks, Dan.
Richard, did you have comments?
Go ahead, Richard. One last from Richard, and then I'll wrap it up.
Richard Jenkins. Is this something you really want in your town? Because it's going to be in your town one day. And I think the application said something about rental property. It's rental properties? Is that what they said?
Rental units.
Well, how long is it going to be rental properties? Pretty soon to be sold. They're going to sell them. That's what they're going to do. Nobody wants to own the subdivision that's full of rentals. So why are they not telling us exactly what they're going to do? They're not. They're not telling you the truth. It's going to be sold. Nobody wants to own them forever. And there's no snow. There's no way to plow the snow these places. Have you looked at the drawing? Is there enough information to even say, I want to support this? The town has the control to do this. I haven't built this thing yet. You don't have a water line yet. You can say, no, I don't care what the legal thing is. We don't have to take care of this project. And they could just haul that sucker up to Jackson if they want, because that's what the people are going to do. They're going to live here and drive to Jackson. So let them have that problem. They got the land up there. They can do it. It's just too darn expensive. That's why they don't want to do it up there. So let's not let it be Alpine's problem. Let's not create this. Okay, so we had this happen to us before. You guys weren't here. Alpine Meadows subdivision right at the junction. 400 houses planned in there. We said no. They have some beautiful homes in there now. That's the way Alpine should look. Not like that. You have control. Exercise your rights, and let's not put this crap in Alpine.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
So what this motion is for us as a town to draft a letter. And that's what we'll stick with. We have, obviously, legal concerns, which the town will have to work with legal. But for the motion on the table is to draft a letter with our concerns.
Yes.
With that, do I have approval for a motion for a drafted letter, Lincoln County Planning and Zoning Commission commenting on Alpine Trailhead project to be read aloud by Mayor Green in the Star Valley Development LLC public hearing on July 24th, 2024. All in favor, say aye.
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 Ayes pass. This will be to be continued, because it will. Next, Driftwood Pizzeria, sales tax hold notice. Monica?
Yeah, so this is something you haven't seen on your agenda, that I'm aware of in recent years. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background in why it's on the agenda. So I am now overseeing the liquor license process for the town of Alpine with the assistance of Sarah. And which means Sarah's going to do most of the work, and I'll take all the credit for it. Just kidding. So, but in all seriousness, so Sarah and I have been reviewing the laws, the statutes, and all that surround liquor licenses. And so historically, as a town clerk, the Wyoming Liquor Division has always sent me the sales tax hold letters, and I forwarded them to the person who was doing the day-to-day responsibilities for the liquor licenses. So when I received this notice, I looked at it differently because it's now my responsibility. So I read the statute. I read the letter and read the statute. And what I recognized is that I, as clerk, do not have the authority to decide what, if anything, should or should not be done with this. I am not the licensing authority. The town council is. And so I brought it to you guys. You may want to take action. You may not want to take action. I've invited the business owner here, and I have followed up with you on that conversation in an earlier email today. And so, yeah, so it's just, this letter was received, and I turn it over to you. Yeah. So what they, basically, when there is a delinquency on the sales tax for a liquor license holder, what the liquor division does is that they suspend their ability to purchase liquor in the state of Wyoming. However, the statute allows you to suspend their license if you so desire.
Okay.
And you say you reached out to the business owner and
He's here.
Oh,
He's here.
I didn't
He's
see
happy
it.
to
I
talk
can
to
see
you.
it. Go ahead.
He came to talk to you.
Um,
So, and I apologize for putting, Mike through all this, because he's like, well, what's going on? So,
Thanks for having me.
What I understand is there's a path of resolution for this. You have a account set up, a payment plan set up, and
Well, that's the payment plan. I defaulted out of the payment plan, and that's kind of where all this is stemming from.
gotcha.
This morning, I was saying I could probably get the balance paid off in a week. I think that's probably a little too optimistic.
Okay.
I was worried you were overpromising.
But I'm actually really confident that by the beginning of August, I can get that balance taken care of and get the liquor stop lifted. I was kind of hoping maybe get a little time before we start talking about suspension or revocation on the license.
So, Mr. Sanderson did respond to my earlier email
Oh, okay.
with a recommendation that if you so desire to share with them.
Well, I
Thanks,
guess
Marlo.
basis of my recommendation is the statute says may. It's not an imperative thing. They've already suspended his ability to purchase liquor through the state. We could table this and wait till next month to give him time to catch up so that everything is in place. And I guess my feeling is you don't have to add insult to injury right now. I'm sure he's trying to figure out how to get himself out of the hole, but there's no requirement that you suspend his license here.
Anybody else thoughts?
I like
I like it.
the recommendation for Mr.
Agreed.
Sanderson.
Yeah, we're just getting this, so this is new to us as well. You do a lot for the town, a lot for the charitable organizations in town, and I want to see you keep succeeding. So, me personally, that's where I'm at.
Me.
I agree with Jeremy. Driftwood is a huge contributor to the town, always donates something. We really appreciate you and want to do what we can to support you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So now, there's no necessary action, we just, yeah, okay, thank you.
And then just for your understanding, I'm going to be out for probably maybe about a month. Sarah will be your point of contact. Okay? Thanks. You're welcome.
Okay, on to SVI media proposal. Senator Dockstetter, are you here for that, or was Duke?
No, I was assigned by our general manager.
Monica, did you,
Yeah.
I assume we got it from Duke?
Yes, so he did give me an updated document after the last Travel and Tourism Board, where there was a lot of conversation about how this was going to be handled moving forward. And so it was agreed upon, based on the conversation at the Travel and Tourism Board, that if the town council would support it, that it would be a total cost for what is listed in this proposal of $40,000, $20,000 of which will be paid by the Travel and Tourism Board, and $20,000 will be paid by the Alpine Town Council. out of the general fund for the economic development expense line item of the general fund. The $20,000 does appear in the economic development line item of the budget.
Excellent. Let me get it on the table here. Can I have a motion to accept the SVI media proposal and allow Mayor Pro Tem to sign on behalf of the town of Alpine?
So moved.
Second.
There we go. Further discussion? Any further discussion?
Monica, how much time towards negotiation was given to this proposal? I was just curious because I know that there was heavy discussion during the tourism board meeting, which I watched. I just didn't know if there were any follow-up conversations with SBI.
Not so much.
I could speak to that probably.
Oh, please do, Mr. Mayor.
So we started out, their original proposal was something in the range of $50,000 for this entire website and everything. When Duke was there at that meeting, he said, we would give you a percentage discount based on, I can't remember off the top of my head what the reasoning was, but, and then we negotiated it down to if travel and tourism did 50%, town council would do the other 50%. So this does constitute a 20% discount off the original proposal.
Sorry to interrupt. And then also travel and tourism would pick up, because it was a package deal. So within the package, there were 4 items, 3 of which met the definition for travel and tourism, 1, which is this one. So essentially, travel and tourism picked up the 3 out of the 4, this being more of the economic development side.
Okay. And you had one addition, Mr. Mayor, on ownership of the website in the future. Could you expand on that?
We did also we also did negotiate that where if for whatever reason after 2 years we were not happy with the results of the website and we thought we could do a better job ourselves, that they would basically just give us the website. So we would end up owning it at that point.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
So is this SVIalpine.com?
SVIalpine.com.
Okay.
Coming soon. SVIalpine.com. Basically, right now, Duke said he's looking at end of August, 1st of September to have it complete. But it will be, if you don't know, it will be a news events website kind of specifically designated for Alpine, because Alpine kind of lies in that middle ground area where a lot of us go up to Jackson, they see News and Guide or Buckrell. Some of us are down here. Our newspaper, official newspaper is SVI. And so this kind of is a good way, and I think it's a great idea, an amazing way to really kind of combine those two and focus on Alpine itself, what's going on in Alpine, not only news, but events. That's where it kind of ties into travel and tourism, what events are coming up online, highlighting music in the mountains and other events going on.
And was there a different package if we decided to opt out of the geofencing?
The other package, essentially it's the same price.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's still split.
Yeah.
It would still be, okay.
Yeah. That was the whole thing. It was like, well, this doesn't quite fit. If we went this way, it's still the same price. So essentially it's like you're getting 1 out of the 3 for free.
Okay.
We do get a lot of feedback from people in the community that they miss events, that they don't know what's going on and they can't quite figure out where to find them all. And SVI does an amazing job with their website valley-wide, so I think this will help a lot to put the focus on what we've got going on, and people will be able to know and participate a little bit better.
Yeah, and just to clarify for anybody, because the way the proposal's written, I know when I originally read it, I thought, because it mentions yearly, this is not a yearly cost.
This
It's
is just
Right.
upfront.
This is upfront.
Upfront, one-year process. And SVI will be able, in full transparency, to monetize it, to maintain it ongoing so that it doesn't continue to cost us money. So the goal is to develop this partnership, to develop this tool for Alpine, but then they will manage it for us. So which should be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if that can be our dedication to promoting local businesses.
Yeah.
To my mind, $20,000 is an incredibly large amount of money, and I just want to make sure that we are indeed representing what we are seeking.
I know, that was definitely a concern of mine. I mean, not that we don't appreciate the businesses that lie outside of the incorporated boundaries of Alpine, but one of my comments at the Travel and Tourism Board is that people often think that Alpine is geographically maybe a little different than what it actually is. We have a responsibility to the taxpayers within the incorporated boundaries. So we just need to make sure that we cultivate, that this site is cultivated to always defer to those inside. Not that the others can't participate, but if it's Alpine, they have to be in, we have to really focus on what's in Alpine. Because that it's their tax money.
Any other discussion? All those in favor to accept motion SVI media proposal and allow Mayor Pro Tem to sign on behalf of the town of Alpine, say aye.
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 5-0, ayes have it. All right, moving on, Caterpillar Power System proposal. So we have a recommendation from Jorgensen Engineering. Can I get a motion to put it on the table to accept the recommendation from Jorgensen Engineering for the CAT portable generator for the amount of $63,140 and allow Mayor Pro Tem to sign on behalf of the town of Alpine?
So moved.
Second.
Great. Kevin, please.
Yeah. So the theory behind this is instead of having one generator at each lift station and having multiple generators to have to deal with, we don't get enough flow at each individual lift station that it has to be running all the time. So Craig came up with the idea that we would rather have one portable generator so it's only one maintenance on it, but one that's large enough to carry all the lift stations. So this one generator, you'll see them around at different events, music events and stuff. That's kind of what it looks like. It's on a trailer. It's got the fuel tank and everything set on it. So it'll be set up to where all they have to do is plug into the lift station, get that lift station up and operational when they're out of power, and they would haul it to the next lift station. And that's how they would kind of take care of the few lift stations that they've got.
Yes.
So, and then this is basically being paid for by Covelop over at Snake River Junction. They gave y'all $64,000 for not putting it in the lift station over there, and this will pay for that right there. So.
Monica, do you have anything to add?
They gave us $67,000.
Yes, they did. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
But no, otherwise, no, I thought it was wonderful when Craig came up with this.
Yeah.
It solves multiple problems. We have a bunch of lift stations that don't have generators, and so in the event of a long-term power outage, even if we had took the money from Covelop and installed a generator at that lift station, we still would have had a wastewater system that we couldn't fully operate in
Yes.
a long-term power outage, so this solves that.
Cold winter, you want to put cold winter on there, make sure it fires up in the wintertime.
Oh, yeah.
That's an extra, so make sure you
Yeah.
get that first.
It's actually got a block heater on it and a battery heater on it.
Just
Yes.
double check, you might want to get the battery warmer as well.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Double check.
That's a great
Thank
point,
you.
Mom.
And
Thank
they're
you.
going to get the core locks on
Pat, expert.
as well.
I know.
Yeah. Maybe we might need to talk to an expert.
Talk to an expert.
Yeah, expert in
Talk
the
to an
neighborhood.
expert.
But
All right,
That's great feedback. Okay.
so feedback of adding or making sure that it's got,
For your winter
winter usage.
You want to make sure it's got all your cold weather, all the cold weather add-ins on it, because they don't always come with it.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Found that out in my stores.
okay.
Awesome.
The hardest.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor to accept the motion of, to accept the recommendation from Jorgensen Engineering for the cat portable generator for the amount of $63,140 and allow Mayor Pro Tem to sign on behalf of the town of Alpine, say aye.
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 Ayes have it. Next, thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
Or you're still up on here,
one-
yes.
yeah, the next
Alpine,
one's
Wells Generator Electrical Design Proposal from Musgrove Engineering, PA. Can I get a motion to accept the Alpine Wells Generator Electrical Design Proposal from Musgrove Engineering, PA, and allow Mayor Pro Tem to sign on behalf of the town of Alpine?
So moved.
Second.
Great, on the table. Kevin.
Yeah, so this one is with Musgrove Engineering. They actually helped us with the sizing of this generator. So when we looked at all the lift stations, we also went over to the Grays River and we looked at the mega well, like I talked earlier this afternoon or this evening. So this proposal is going to basically get us documentation out to bid that we can bid off of that will get a generator large enough to run the 3 wells at the Grays River and then move the existing Grays River generator over to the mega well. So it would be one big bid package in a sense, but that once we have that design done, then we can put it out to bid. And then we can also start looking for grants because we've got skin in the game. So we can start looking for that through like Midwest Assistance Program says they have a place that they can get generators as well. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically, this is just the design and the paperwork to get us to the bidding stage so we can move forward.
Yeah, and so to be clear, in the budget the money is budgeted for both of these. In fiscal year 2025, there is not money yet budgeted for the improvements
Yes. Okay.
until we know what they are.
I thought we had budgeted $5,000. Am I remembering that correctly? Okay.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor to accept the Alpine Wells Generator Electrical Design Proposal from Musgrove Engineering, PA, and allow Mayor Pro Tem to sign on behalf of the town of Alpine, say aye.
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 Ayes have it, 5-0. And let's see, resolution number 2024-030 capital lease. Can I get a motion for approval of the 2024-30 capital lease?
So moved.
And a
I
second?
like that.
Right. Second.
Okay, on the table. Monica?
So this resolution is to, again, address another item that was in already in the capital budgets for fiscal year 2025. It is the purchase of a 2024, the lease, not the purchase, of a 2024 938M Caterpillar loader with attachments, and the attachments that we speak of is the wing, the plow wing.
All right.
And so this money is, the monies to pay the payment is budgeted. And it is a long-term capital lease it will be a long-term capital lease with a $1 buyout option to buy out at the end of the lease. However, in order to order it and get it here in time for winter to then keep up with the plan that was in place with personnel, because we're eliminating the backhoe, and this keeps us from having to hire somebody
Yes.
before winter for the snow removal season. And as we all know, that while we appreciate our employees, they're the most expensive cost that the town of Alpine has. And so we appreciate that Craig was trying to be proactive in, long-term reducing those costs by making some change outs. So any of you who have somehow missed the equipment out front, all of that is part of this plan as well, and it is for sale. It's advertised for bid for sale. So part of the bigger plan was we get the loader, we trade in the backhoe as part of that, the capital lease, but then we're eliminating the items out front as well to save the town money,
Yes.
or to put money back in the coffers, so,
And it should eliminate a significant amount of that cost.
yeah.
So
Yes.
that is our hope. Okay.
Any other further discussion?
This was a lengthy discussion during our budget talks and lengthy. And we really came to a good conclusion, and it was a good discussion, and I think it'll be great going forward. Yeah,
There.
that is all.
All right, hearing no more. All in favor of, to approve Resolution 2024-030, capital leaf, say aye.
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 There we go. Ayes have it, 5-0. Moving on to public comment. Before we move on to public comment, for those, if you do have a public comment, we would just ask that, one, we'll keep it to 5 minutes. Two, we do have, believe it or not, some kids listen, so we're going to keep it a PG in case you get some emotions coming in. But with that said, does anybody have any public comment? Shay. So PG, Shay, and 5 minutes.
Yes, so real quick, one of the things, after putting the pickleball, not on, after we put the pickleball court in, we're starting to notice that kids think it's a really fun soccer net. And I know this is the silly stuff of town, but I am trying to get 2 soccer goals. I have been told we don't have the budget for it, and I'm just trying to figure out if I could take any of the music Venmo money. I mean, we can talk about this off, like, on the budget, but I would love to get an addition to the park so that kids have those goals. And again, it's really hard. We would love that everyone treat these items as their own, but I also know it could be destroyed. I just was hoping, I chatted with Amanda Culpepper, who helped with Hagedorn to get the park in, and they were like, we love soccer nets. So, I don't know, I just want to throw that out there,
Yeah.
if there's a way we could work on that, and if I need to fundraise for it, or what you guys think would be the best route. So,
Well,
but we can get back to each other on this.
So put it, feather in your cap.
'Kay.
If we can't do it through the town.
Yep.
The town, it's been several years since the town put in an application with the county rec board.
Okay.
And that would be a perfect application for the county rec board.
Okay, because I'd love to do soccer goals at Ferry Peak and have them that they could be pulled out at the ball field, because I know some people were practicing down there too. So I think it would be a fun addition, especially around here, that it would be an awesome thing.
Yeah.
PG for the children.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Please.
Hi, I'm Patricia McQuaid. I live on Columbine Street, and I've been asked by some people who couldn't be here to ask a couple questions. The first one is about, are there any updates on the charter school? Apparently, there was a Zoom meeting advertised for tonight at 7, but nobody from the charter school showed up. And so they're just wondering about what's going on with the charter school.
Did not hear about, I can answer that. Right now, they're still putting the application together. The application is due on the 31st of July. They're always looking for any public support, letters of support from the public, and they'd put that within the package. And other than that, they're working on location possibilities, kind of a A, B, C, D, E list of possible locations. Other than that, that's what I know.
So the application will be submitted July 31st, and then is
No
there
later,
an
it
idea?
has to be submitted no later than July 31st. So
Okay.
I imagine they would probably submit it a couple of days before.
Okay, so then, do they have any idea when they would hear anything?
I don't know that. Then it goes to the state, and I think the state, you remember it?
I
I
don't
want to say it was
remember
like,
what
I want to say October. Oh, yes, Senator Duxter. I'm sorry. State Charter Board. Thank you, Senator.
There's been a couple of position changes there that would probably work for that.
Okay.
Just in the past week.
Oh, wow. That's
Okay.
still that invisible
So
hand is
positive
working our way.
momentum but no
Okay.
set time.
And then the other is a couple people from Alpine Meadows have said that there were signs knocked down by the construction crews at the extended stay. They asked about it and were told to talk to the code enforcement officer, who's no longer here. So they're just wondering if anything's being done to see if those signs are being replaced.
Monica, do you mind giving an update from you
Yeah,
guys?
so Emily did check in with me prior to the meeting, reminded me, because that email was forwarded to me, that was sent, I believe, to you and the mayor, is
Yes.
that correct? And so it was forwarded both to me and our Public Works Director, Craig Leesburg. I'm not sure how the code enforcement come in, because he was already gone by then, so I apologize if that's what somebody was told, because he was already, had left his employ when that email came through. However, Craig is taking care of it. He is unfortunately, though, pretty swamped with the annual water meter readings. The guys are running around trying to wrap that all up as soon as possible, but it is on, he will be taking care of him. They will be reinstalling the signs.
Okay.
The barriers, we don't have an update on. We're
I don't
working
have,
on that.
yeah, so and I would imagine
He'll
will
take a
look
look at
at,
that.
he'll take a look at them.
Yeah.
Is there somebody, do you want me just to respond to the people who emailed once we know, like, what the actual plan
Yeah,
is for
if
the
you had
barriers?
any
I can have
dates.
him do that.
Okay.
I'll ask him to do so. I'm sure he'll be happy to do that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Anybody else? All right, with that, we're going to go into executive session. Can I get a motion for a 10-minute recess? And then to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor?
Aye.